a number of things. We are going to share resources to support you along the way, as well as outline the different rebuilding options, including partnering with a development team or rebuilding independently. Finally, the session will provide guidance on how to select a qualified professional to ensure homeowners are protected throughout the rebuilding process. I am Omni VC Hall, an associate director on our solutions team here at Enterprise Community Partners. I will be leading today's session, and I'm joined by Brian Kohaya, who will be supporting with the facilitation today as well. We are both based in Southern California. However, Enterprise Community Partners is a national nonprofit that works across the United States to ensure families have a place to call home. The webinar today is being facilitated in collaboration between Office of Office and the Center by Lendistry. We are both working collaboratively to support survivors as they are navigating the rebuilding process. A part of this partnership, Enterprise will be facilitating several webinars. So this is one of that is the first of a series that will really go over an array of topics. All of the topics are here on the screen. And so I encourage you all to not only attend this session, but attend our future sessions as well. The next one will be on financing 101 on April 1st. And so we hope to see you there. Webinars are being facilitated based on the generous support from our funders, Wells Fargo, BMO, and US Bank. If you have any questions during today's webinar, please use the Q&A box. We will try to answer questions in the chat throughout the webinar, but we'll have a formal Q&A period at the end of the webinar. If you need translation, there is the closed captioning button at the bottom of your Zoom screen that provides a translation over 30 languages. Today's session is being recorded, and all of the materials, including the PowerPoint and all of the resources shared, are going to be uploaded into the LA Rebuild Hub. The LA Rebuild Hub recently launched just last week, so we're super excited about that. It is a centralized hub that it is user-friendly and has a lot of resources for you all to use. So single-family homeowners, mobile and manufactured homeowners, renters, nonprofit partners to use to rebuild. It also has a calendar of events. At the end of the session today, we're going to have a full demonstration of the hub. And so we hope that you stay to the end to see that demo and then also visit the hub soon. Before we begin, I want to make a note that all of the information being shared today is being shared generally and does not constitute any legal, financial, or insurance advice. Individual circumstances do vary, and survivors should consult with a licensed professional, including for legal consult and any other professionals before making formal decisions about the rebuild process. And so want to get a pulse of where everyone is in the room and just want to do a check to see where you are in your rebuilding journey. And so if you could take a couple minutes to enter into the Q&A box or into the chat if you are just starting your journey, if you are currently in design to permitting, or you are selecting contractors, or if construction is actually already underway at your property. I'll give that a couple of seconds. And then actually, Brian, let's go ahead and launch the poll just to see if we can do it that way as well. Thank you. So instead of doing the chat, go ahead and do the poll. And thank you all so much. So you just getting started. Give you a couple more seconds. Thank you all. So we'll go ahead and end the poll. So most of you all are just starting your rebuilding journey. And most of the content today will focus on those that are currently in that part of their journey. but we hope that all of the information that you receive today will be valuable no matter where you are in your rebuilding journey. Again, we know that rebuilding will look different from home to home. It's important that you make a decision that is best for your household. And there are a number of factors that we know are reshaping and really impacting how you are choosing to rebuild. A few of those are, insurance payouts, as well as personal finances and other considerations as well, are really driving how you are choosing to rebuild. Number one factor that we're hearing from most homeowners is insurance. And there is a major gap that many households are experiencing between what the insurance company is going to offer in their claim and what the actual costs are to rebuild. And so on the screen are a number of questions that you can ask yourself before you start the rebuilding process to order to make an informed decision. So it's really understanding what your insurance policy covers and what it doesn't cover is really important. Also, reading your policy in detail and understanding the structure of the payments that you're going to receive. The payment is not going to come in a lump sum. It's going to come in multiple disbursements. And so being really mindful and understanding what that is going to look like and how that is going to inform how you are choosing to approach the rebuilding process. Additionally, some insurance companies also ask for additional documentation or inspections. And so reading that policy in detail to fully understand what is going to be required from you for your insurance company. The last question here is around temporary housing and truly understanding your loss of use part of your insurance and understanding, how long your policy is going to cover your temporary housing. Brian, thank you so much for sharing that link. So on the LA Rebuild website, we do have a page devoted to insurance and how to just give best practices to homeowners as they are interacting with their insurance company and how to navigate that process. And so I encourage you all to review that page as well. There's also some best practices on how to interact with public adjusters if you're choosing to work with an adjuster to navigate the claim process. The next factor is personal finances. And so we know that, again, because a lot of the households are experiencing a major gap, personal finances is a really big factor as well. And so we know not only some are experiencing the gap, but also some households didn't have insurance. And so relying on personal finances, and if you have the ability to use personal capital, is a big factor as well. And so if you have those personal savings, you can go ahead and get started in the rebuild process and not necessarily have to wait for the insurance company to give you the first installment of your claim. Additionally, if you are choosing to take on a personal loan, being mindful of the current interest rates on that loan, the repayment structure, and any long-term impacts that it will have on you financially before taking, the commitment to take that on. So really thinking about your personal finances, do you have the personal finance to balance the, taking on, the rebuild? If you don't have the personal finances, are you able to take on a loan? Then there's also grant opportunities. There are a number of grants that homeowners are eligible to apply for right now that are working to rebuild. And so we've put together a list of grants that we are aware of in the market. And I encourage you all to apply to these grants to really help reduce your out-of-pocket costs. Next webinar, we're going to be joined by Habitat for Humanity San Gabriel Valley, and they will be showcasing and sharing just some of their financial products that they have to support homeowners that are working to rebuild, including a zero interest loan product and other grants as well. So I encourage you all to review the grant page that we put together, as well as attend the next webinar. Today's session, we're not going to focus a lot on financing, but I encourage you all to attend next session as well. And then lastly, personal considerations. Rebuilding is overwhelming, both mentally and emotionally. And so before you start to rebuild, please take the time to do a self-assessment. and really ask yourself just some important questions. Are you emotionally ready to start this rebuilding journey? And do you have the time to devote to construction decisions? We want to make sure that you have taken the time to just really have that conversation with yourself. Construction rarely goes according to plan. And so, can you handle if things don't go according to plan? And do you have the additional support to navigate that? A part of these personal considerations are also thinking about your family's goals and how quickly you want to return home. If you have more flexibility in your temporary housing, you may not feel as rushed to make decisions about contractors, materials, and designs. And so, if you have that, these are all factors that contribute to how you approach the rebuilding process. And so Brian is has been dropping links into the chat. So thank you, Brian. And that's to the grant page. And the last one is that last link he just shared is to the Rebuilding Starter Checklist, which is a checklist that we've put together for you as homeowners to evaluate and do a self-assessment on yourself before you jump into the rebuilding process. So again, thank you, Brian, for dropping those into the chat. We're going to do another poll here to really get a pulse of what factors right now feel the most stressful for you when you think about rebuilding. Is it insurance, cost and finance, or personal consideration? So, give you all just a couple of minutes to interact with the poll that just popped up. All right. Thank you all. And so we're trying to make it as interactive as possible. So if you have the opportunity to, and please interact with the polls. Thank you so much. And so if you are feeling at all stressed about rebuilding, or this is just really overwhelming for you, please know that we're here to support you. Today I'm joined by one of our partner organizations, Office of Office, Elise, to share more about their trauma-informed rebuilding counseling and case management services. They are an architectural firm, so have an array of knowledge that they can share with homeowners. And so I will pass it over to Elise shortly. Elise is a proud Angelino, and she is a designer with Office of Office. She's a part of the design team and the program manager for their Community Rebuilding Response Program. And so, Elise, I will pass it over to you now.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. So our Community Rebuilding Response Program has on for
Hello.
about a year now, and as we're moving into our kind of our 1 year anniversary of starting the program, we are really excited to partner with the Center by Lendistry and Enterprise. Next slide, please. Okay, so as Dominique mentioned, we are a nonprofit planning and architecture organization based in LA. Our team offers a diverse expertise in architectural projects of varying scopes and scales. And since January 2025, we have provided pro bono and discounted design services to wildfire impacted homeowners looking to rebuild. Next slide, please. So far since 2025, our program and the kind of acronym for it that we use is CRR, has conducted intake calls with 160 families. We have partnered with over 10 organizations, both within the LA area and nationally, and we have supported 43 families through the process of getting their design packages together. And I'll speak a little bit more on what that exactly means. Next, please. Okay, so what does our program include? It includes this overarching kind of way, policy and advocacy. So what that means for you as homeowners is that when questions arise, when policies are being examined, we are in a position where we have partner organizations where we can share data and advocate for homeowners. So understanding, well, what are maybe gaps in financing that homeowners are experiencing? What are planning issues when it comes to zoning or different regulations that homeowners are thinking about, and what should the county or city consider adjusting these policies. And so that has been a process that we have been involved in over the past year. And so that's what that means kind of from the homeowner perspective when we're looking when land use review. So asking, well, what can be built on a lot? What are different policies at both the state and county level that can be leveraged to make sure that homeowners are able to build what they need to build? In budgeting guidance, we look at finances holistically. So looking at what loans, what kind of insurance payouts can be put towards rebuilding, and considering what are all the different parts, both hard costs and soft costs, meaning maybe different kind of review processes or kind of subcontracts that need to be negotiated, whether it's with an engineer or a surveyor, and helping homeowners kind of account for all of those expenses. So when they are beginning this process, it's an informed decision that they're making. And architectural drawings, so meaning the drawings. So looking at everything from where do you want your bedroom, kind of the size that you're thinking about. Are you thinking about maybe adding an ADU later? Do you have a garage? You want to build a garage and then convert it to an ADU? And so working through all of those questions and drawings is part of what we do. So our program includes 3 individualized conversations. So it's broken into 3 discrete milestones where we have meetings with you as the homeowner and go over a set of different deliverables for each step that's going to build on each other. We have a work plan and timeline with clear cost estimates, and so that you can see a little sample of that there. And then we identify different supportive strategies. So whether that means helping someone put together an application for a grant and making sure that they have the information they need, or on kind of the more personal supportive side of saying, okay, do you need help from one of our partner organizations because it's really difficult for someone to scan documents, and that process is something support groups or other ways to kind of help homeowners get through this process. And then another part is a refined set of drawings. So it includes plans and elevations and a study of the lot. Next slide, please. And so this is what, when I'm talking about those 3 meetings and the deliverables that go with them, you can see with meeting 1, we're taking a study of the lot. We're looking at what can be built from both the homeowner's desire of what they would like to build and also in balance with different kind of like financial realities. From there, and after some discussion and reflection, homeowners give us feedback on what they're hoping to see in their plan. We then draw up those plans. We have another meeting. Through that meeting, we refine that even further. And then for our last meeting, we draw up a plan and elevation. So that'll be kind of showing the exterior of the home, where windows are going to be, different kind of architectural details, style, roof line, and all of those things are incorporated. And that is part of the final design package. So here is our rough timeline. What we have found is some homeowners do take a little bit longer than this because they maybe aren't making these decisions on their own, and so having time to ask family members for input, ask friends, and really be able to sit with these decisions is something that a lot of people decide to do, and it's more than welcome. And it helps, I think, a lot to have that bring back a certain level of clarity when we're refining drawings. So here is a sample of a lot study that we would do. So we would look at kind of the basic zoning information, what are different particularities of the lot that need to be considered that will affect rebuilding. So whether that's setbacks, unique zoning conditions, maybe you have protected trees, and understanding all of those things that go into what the rebuilding process might look like for you. Next, please. Another part is looking at resource and cost projections. So every homeowner gets this interactive spreadsheet where they can toggle with construction costs, they can toggle with square footage. We have a square footage calculator. So to understand what does different kind of scales of rebuilding look like for you, and have that be individualized. Next, please. And then here is an example of one of the refined floor plans. So after working with homeowners and they've decided, okay, we really like, we want to be able to stay within our original footprint. We would like to have 2 bedrooms. We would like, 2 bathrooms. For us, it's important to have an open living space with our kitchen. And so those are all considerations that we take and put into these plans and refine. For them, they also wanted an ADU. And so part of that was that you can kind of see measured out is making sure that there's is adequate separation between the primary dwelling and the ADU. And so we're constantly thinking about these planning processes and how they're integrated within the design. And then part of the last package are elevations. And so you can see here where style is becoming more evident. You can see details like window frames, and we're starting to call out materials, locations of doors, and understanding kind of the project more holistically in that way. And so the hope is that through this process, and especially with this last deliverable where you're getting the elevations and the plans, that you're able to take this to another design firm that can take you through permitting, or a contractor who can take you through permitting and construction. And you're not starting the process kind of from square one with them, that you're starting with with a clear idea without having to pay that cost, because so you can just get right into that permitting construction process. And so so you're not having to go through, well, what can I afford? What can't I afford? And having to pay for that back and forth, but going into it with a clear direction, an idea, and a clear set of priorities that you can bring to the table as you go into the permitting and that process and bidding with a contractor. Next, please. So here is an example where we're looking at different kind of opportunities for a homeowner and saying, okay, so if you build exactly what you had, we're experiencing deficit. If we adjust things in this way, here's maybe where we have a little bit more of a cushion. And we're looking at a price range of 450 to 600, and that's based off of contractors have given us numbers, and this is what they're seeing out in the field. We have been seeing some estimates that are lower than that and are in like maybe the 375 range and things like that, but we let actually be able to execute. And if you are interested in our program, you can complete an intake survey. And with that, we ask you some questions about kind of where you are in the process, and kind of what how we can best help you and support you through this. So it could be maybe someone, is interested in building exactly what they had. So maybe they're maybe not so focused on design services, but what they are interested in is the kind of the planning and financial kind of aspect and being able to see how design and finances are playing together. And if you have any questions, feel free to call us or email us.
Thank you, Elise, for sharing that information. I encourage everyone, if they are interested in receiving more individual one-on-one support, to sign up for their intake form. And thank you again for joining us today. Now we're going to go into the two different paths to rebuilding. And by paths, we're not going to be talking about like the different rebuild models, but like actually like pathways. So rebuilding independently or deciding to partner with a development team to support you through the rebuilding process. When a homeowner chooses to build independently, so you're taking on the project manager hat, it really just comes down to how much you want to be hands-on in the process. One of the biggest benefits is having full control. You are the one making decisions about the design, about the materials, and what contractors you hire. Um, there is a slight possibility that you could save money by taking this route because you're not paying a developer fee or but at the same time with that responsibility, again, you're stepping into that project manager role. So it's more responsibility and you are coordinating multiple professionals and keeping things on track. And so if this is your first time rebuilding, this can be a really steep learning curve. And as I shared before, delays or unexpected costs that come up, and this can create a lot of stress for you and potentially extend your timeline. Um, Another thing to note here is because you are doing this independently, you may not receive those cost efficiencies that come with, bundling labor or materials together. So you may have pricing that may be a little bit higher than if you work with the development team individually. And so when we look at the pros and cons of working with a development team, um, you are bringing on their wealth of knowledge. So you're working with professionals that have done this process before, and they can take some of this off of your plate. Um, you know, for building independently, it can feel really empowering for some, but then it can also feel overwhelming. And so this route may be best for you if you're feeling overwhelmed with the process because you won't have to manage the multiple contractors or professionals on your own. Additionally, because as I shared before, that the developers are working on multiple projects at once, they can also access maybe some of those cost efficiencies by bundling labor and materials together. Additionally, because they're working with other households at the same time, they may know about different financing programs and so help you to get access to those programs. And another key benefit is predictability. You know, predictability is hard in construction, but it can become more predictable when you're working directly with a development team or a professional that does this on a regular and routine basis. With that said, there are trade offs with anything. And so there may be a higher upfront cost when you choose to work with a development team, and you may lose some of that personal control as you're making decisions about design or just like even like subcontractors that are brought on with any relationship. You have to make sure you are aligned, and so making sure that your expectations are aligned to the developer's expectations and maintaining that relationship throughout the process can present a challenge sometimes, but that comes with, all relationships. There are three key types of development teams. So you have for-profit developers, nonprofit developers, and community land trusts. For-profit developers often work on several rebuilds at once. They have a lot of processes in place and know how to keep things running smoothly. Um, their processes, because they have these in place, it becomes more predictable with the timeline and coordination is a lot easier. At the same time, because they are a for-profit developer, some of the decisions are really guided by cost. And so that's something to be mindful of. Again, we just talked about priorities. So making sure your priorities are aligned with that, with any developer that you choose. Um, Next, we have nonprofit developers who are usually focused on helping homeowners rebuild affordably. And their teams, they're smaller, but very capable as well. And so they may not be able to take on the same volume as the volume of product of excuse me of households as a for-profit a developer, but they can definitely support you and be hands-on as well and help you with applying for different grants and just navigating through the rebuilding process. Similar to nonprofit developers, you have community land trusts, also known as CLTs, and they really also focus on making sure that the home is built affordably for the long term and making sure that community members are not displaced. They hold the land in trust and really help, again, with that hands on support and provide technical assistance as well to homeowners. And so we have another poll. Which path are you currently considering? Are you thinking about partnering with a for-profit developer, partnering with a nonprofit developer, partnering with a CLT, building independently, so taking on that project management hat, waiting to decide, or choosing not to return? Mm. All right. So I see a few waiting to decide, partnering with a nonprofit developer. Uh, Thank you all for interacting with the poll. And if you are waiting to decide, I completely understand as well. And so, as you are assembling your team, we thought it would be great to really outline the individuals that you will be interacting with the most. So, starting from left to right, we have the architect, and so this is probably the first person that you will bring on into your development team. They help to create the plans that meet both the requirements of like building code and just the planning departments, but also make sure that the new build is also meeting the insurance requirements and everything is approved and up to standards. Next, you have the general contractor. This is the person who actually builds your home based on the approved plan. They make sure that everything also is meeting the insurance standards and they support the construction process to make sure that everything is on track and problems are solved very quickly. And you have the project manager that really helps to coordinate the entire rebuild process, making sure that things are following the outlined timeline, staying within budget. This role is optional, but encourage you to utilize this role to help take some of that coordination off of yourself as the homeowner. Then you have the landscape architect that really focuses on building that defensible space and also incorporating fire resistant landscaping. We think about long-term insurability and making sure that your home, can be insured, like through the insurance renewal process, and then also making sure that you are creating a space so that your house is not as subject to wildfires again. And then we have engineers. We have structural and civil engineers. Structural really focusing on the seismic and those requirements, and then civil really focused on grading, draining, and utilities. Uh, these are five roles. You, of course, may interact with additional individuals throughout the process, but we thought it was important to highlight some of the five top roles that you may interact with during the rebuilding process. And so we have another poll. This is the last of the polls, and then I'll stop bugging you guys. But just wanted to see how confident do you feel about finding and vetting a great contractor. Um, so I see some not confident. I need more guidance. Give a couple more. Couple. Thank you all. And so if you are not feeling confident, The next few slides will really outline some best practices on how to select a contractor. And so one is really thinking about the risk. So one of the biggest risks in rebuilding is choosing the wrong contractor. There's a huge, huge risk of scams. And unfortunately, in talking with homeowners, there have been several scams already. And this is like, so it's really devastating to hear, especially as families are under so much stress already. And adding that is really sickening. And so hopefully through these next slides, you feel more empowered to make that decision and know the red flags to look out for when selecting a contractor. Additionally, there's a risk if you select a contractor that is in the best that you may go over budget. Even small, the items that go over budget, they add up over time. And so it's really easy to go over budget. So picking someone that has poor management skills of the budget is a big risk. Additionally, if someone is doing work that is not compliant or not permitted, it is one, unsafe, but it also makes it really hard to receive those final approved inspections at the end. And then you run the risk of also, going over your timeline and, experiencing those delays. And beyond these issues, it's just the added stress of picking the wrong person. Next, we're going to go over just some red flags to look out for. And so when working with a contractor, it's important to look out for these red flags. One major warning sign is a demand for full payment before any work begins. In the state of California, a down payment for a home improvement contract cannot exceed $1,000 or 10% of the total contract price, whatever is less. Another red flag is the refusal to provide any references or proof of licenses. Contractors should be transparent and willing to share that information with you. Next, high pressure sales tactics like sign this contract right now, do this right now. You should not feel rushed to make any decision. Contractors should give you time to review, to ask questions. And so if they are using those high pressure sales tactics, that is a red flag. And that is not a contractor that you should be moving forward with. And then lastly, if they ask you to pull the permits, that's a red flag. They should have the ability to pull their own permits. And so that's something that you should be very cautious of as well. And so next, we're going to go into the 6 steps that you can go through in selecting a qualified contractor. And so step 1 is to research and verify. The county has put together a database of contractors as well as licensed professionals that you can use to find contractors. And then you want to confirm that they are legally allowed to work in California. And then you want to verify they have all the proper licenses, that they have their proper coverages for liability and workers' compensation. They have the proper bond on file with the state. In state of California, a contractor should have a bond on file of $25,000 or more. And so making sure they have all of that information. And you can check this on the state databases. All of these links are linked into the PowerPoint, and we'll be sharing that after today's session, as well as we'll drop them into the chat right now. And so you can use these databases to really help you find and vet and verify these contractors. Next, you want to screen your potential contractors. And so we put together a questionnaire that you can use to really help narrow down if this is the right contractor for you, and then also identify those red flags really early on. Again, trust your instincts. If someone is giving you a red flag, walk away. That is not the contractor for you. A professional contractor should be willing and they will answer your question. Third, you want to compare proposals. And so once you have a short list of contractors that you think you want to move forward with, compare the proposals. It's best to at least get 3 bids. I'm sure you've heard this before, but the lowest price is not the best price. And so, while it's important to be, price conscious, selecting the lowest bid is not always the best option. Think about experience, quality of work, their communication style so far in interacting with you. And then also check for references. And so it's important to make sure that the contractor has experience working in a rebuild when they are navigating or interacting with the insurance company. If you have the ability to talk to current clients that they're working with to see how their project is coming along, and whether they stayed on budget, they stayed on schedule, and how they've handled any issues that have come up so far in the process as well. Another thing to be mindful for is also if they've had experience remediating soil contamination, and then also working with resilient building standards as well. So once you have those contracts, you're going to review it carefully, read everything in detail, and to make sure that you understand the full scope of what is being proposed in the contract, that you understand how much everything is going to cost, who is going to be in charge of what, and that everything is clearly outlined. Do not sign a contract that you have not read thoroughly, and then make sure that the language is not too vague. You want it to be as detailed as possible so that there are no gray areas as you move forward in the process. Again, ask questions and make sure that you understand what is outlined in that contract, and never start any work without a written quote or a signed contract, and ensure that the payment structure that is outlined in the contract is aligned to key milestones. No lump payments. I shared this earlier, but down payments should be limited to 1,000 or 10% of the total contract price, whatever is less. And it's also very important to keep all of your contracts, your finalized contracts, your receipts, any change orders in one place so you can reference those and come back to those. Finally, once the project has begun, construction is going to take an extended period of time. It's going to take several months. And so it's important to keep communication very clear between you and the contractors that you choose to hire. Track the milestones again, and just keep that conversation flowing, and understand who make sure you know who to go to ask your specific questions in detail. And so now we're going to go through shift a little bit here and really talk about the hardest. This is a really hard topic to talk about, but making the decision to not return home. And I want to be very clear that this is not, a choice that we are, want to push on homeowners, but know that this is a choice that many homeowners may have to decide, especially as they are really weighing their options and making the best decision for their family. And so for some, rebuilding may not just feel right now. And so I want to call out that you don't have to make an immediate decision. You don't want to make a decision that is rushed. And if you need to, wait and hold the land and take more time to make an informed decision. Second, another path is working with your insurance company to explore other options. In California, you may have the option to receive the full insurance amount that your insurance company was, planning to give you, and apply that to another home. So purchasing a home in another area, or choosing to rebuild in another location. And so some families are choosing this as an option that is, more stressful than going through the construction process. And then third, we have here, if you are making the decision to sell your property, selling to a mission-aligned organization or a community land trust versus a for-profit organization. Although these are nonprofit organizations, they will typically pay full market value for your property, and they will work to ensure that the property is being built for community members low to moderate income homeowners. And so that is an option as well. And it really does support the long-term affordability of the community as well. Again, there is no right or wrong decision, and we are not trying to push a decision on anyone, but wanted to spend some time on this as well because we know that it's an option that some families are considering. And so we are going to now take some time to go to the LA Rebuild Hub. And so I'm going to stop share for a second and to reshare the website. Where is the stop share? Right. Okay. So as of last week, we launched the LA Rebuild Hub, which is an online website that has all of the resources that I shared today, as well as a lot more. So I'm going to quickly do a demonstration of the website so you know what resources are available to you. We are still building out the website day by day and adding more resources. And so you may you continue to check the website, see additional resources. And so I encourage you to use the website as well as share it with other homeowners that you know are working to rebuild. And so here on the landing page, you will be navigated to three sections. One on planning your rebuild, financial help, and get support. The website also features a calendar of events as well as a resource library. And so there is that rebuilding checklist for you as well. When you think about starting the process of doing that self-assessment, so we have that there. Some of the other resources, so that partner selection questionnaire is listed here, along with a few other things. So there is an entire bank of floor plans that Office of Office has created that you can use to really see. So we have some ADU floor plans as well as more of the primary home. And so I encourage you to look at the bank, see if you're able to find a floor plan that works best for how you envision your rebuild. And under the rebuild section, there are multiple areas. So we have navigating permits and approval, understanding your rebuild options. So this one kind of goes through, if I want to build the home exactly how it was before, and some of the costs and economics that go behind that. On the events tab, we have all of our future webinars listed here, as well as a calendar of all of the other community events as well. Under the support tab, we have just some local resource centers and then that interest form as well. If you're having any trouble navigating the website, feel free to use the search feature to find any additional resources as well. Again, this website was just launched last week, and so we are open to all feedback. If you have any additional notes or more information that you think would be useful to highlight on the website, please share. We want this to be useful, and if it's not useful, we would like to know as well. Right. I'm going to stop share as well. And now we are going to move to Q&A and open it up for questions. So if there are any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat for us.